TVB exposes how cross-border transportation of untaxed goods works. Free PCR test will be suspended from March 1st. Rescue teams for Turkey from the mainland and Hong Kong return home. Hello and welcome to TVB News. In just 2 weeks since the border with the mainland fully reopened, Hong Kong is already seeing the return of parallel trading in Sheng, Shui, where traders purchase goods at lower costs before ratcheting up their prices in the mainland. TVB tracked a parallel trader in Hong Kong and followed him to Shenzhen in order to better understand how the business works. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Located near Shenzhen, Shengshui has long been a hotbed of trafficking and parallel trade in the SAR. Many individuals engaged in such activities could be found near this bicycle parking area next to Shengshui Station. On Tuesday, TVB found a group of parallel traders using plastic bags with large red 9N9 labels to take goods to the mainland. They include essential oils with a market value of over $1,000 and suntan lotions, facial masks, and other beauty products worth over $100. The man in the blue jacket was seen talking with a parallel trader before he quickly left. 5 minutes later, the trader carried 2 bags of goods and delivered them to the man in the blue jacket on an alley next to Shengshui Station. The man then boarded the MTR train to Luowu Station after checking the suspected receipt. He headed to a parking lot after departing from the Luowu Port Joint Inspection Building before being confronted by a TVB reporter. When asked what was inside the plastic bag, the man refused to reveal the contents inside. Less than 5 minutes later, he inspected the condition of the items in the plastic bag at the parking lot and handed the bag to a local motorcyclist before he received his payment. Throughout Tuesday afternoon, many individuals carrying plastic bags with a 9N9 label could be found crossing the border. They were all seen delivering their bags once reaching Shenzhen. This person said they were paid $2,000 for completing the task. When TVB News revisited Shengshui on Thursday, such deals remained prevalent. Some parents even brought their children along for the delivery process and would store the goods inside their backpacks. The whole procedure lasted shorter than 2 minutes. Authorities noted they have stepped up efforts to combat the parallel trading problem, and law enforcement measures had been taken to combat parallel trading activities. Some Shengshui residents remain unsatisfied with those measures, with several residents complaining about the noise pollution. Travelers receiving payments from delivering parallel imports in the mainland could face a fine of up to $50,000 and 2 years imprisonment. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The government announced today that the free community PCR testing service will be suspended from March 1st. Only 21 community testing centers will remain in operation. The operating hours of the community testing centers will be adjusted as well, opening from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And these centers will continue to offer self-paid testing services to the public. From March 1st, public hospital, residential care home staff members, and visitors of these premises will no longer need to take PCR tests. However, they will need to take rapid antigen tests instead. Rescue teams from the mainland and Hong Kong completed their mission in Turkey and returned to Beijing this afternoon. Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan was in Beijing to receive the rescuers. Jackie Lin with more.
The charter flight carrying the mainland and Hong Kong rescue teams, which help with relief efforts in earthquake-stricken Turkey, landed in Beijing at around 4 p.m. Emerging out of the aircraft first were the mainland relief team members, followed by the 59 Hong Kong rescuers and the SAR's 2 rescue dogs. They were welcomed with much fanfare, a contingent of Beijing officials from the Foreign Ministry and the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, as well as Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan, Secretary for Security Chris Tang, and Director of Fire Services Andy Yeung. Speaking in Putonghua, Eric Chen said rescuers from Hong Kong and the mainland had shown courage in their mission in Turkey, that they raced against time and saved multiple lives. He said he paid the highest respect to the rescuers on behalf of all Hong Kongers and the SAR government. Hong Kong's relief team reached Turkey's quick-hit southern province of Hatay last Friday. They rescued 4 survivors in total. The mainland's rescue team, meanwhile, arrived in Turkey last Wednesday. They scoured through 87 buildings with a total search area upwards of 700,000 square meters. They rescued 6 people and recovered 11 bodies from the rubble. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Hong Kong Red Cross sent 3 workers to Turkey to help with earthquake relief efforts. Jackie Lin spoke with the trio who shared the progress of their work.
It's been 10 days since 2 massive earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria. On Monday, Hong Kong Red Cross sent 3 of their staffers to Ankara, Turkey, joining forces with local relief efforts.
We learned that the Turkish Red Crescent have been working day and night ever since the earthquake. All our colleagues here, the challenges or the needs are huge.
The focus of their work now on relief and rebuilding efforts. They include the provision of tents and shelters, hygiene kits and heaters, especially when temperatures at affected areas often drop below 0 at night. While they have witnessed much tragedy from the field, they are also encouraging tales to tell.
10,000 volunteers and Red Cross personnel working on the ground. And actually, most of them came from the affected areas. Each of them got such sad stories to tell, but at the same time, they kept moving to help the people as much as possible. And I think this is the courage or the spirit that encourage everyone and support everyone to continue the work on the ground.
With that, they appealed for more support from Hong Kongers.
It takes years for the community to recover and to rebuild their lives. And so this is a marathon for the community and also for the humanitarian sector. The assistance from Hong Kong citizens and from all people around the world would be really important.
Anyone who wants to offer financial help to Turkey and Syria through the Hong Kong Red Cross can donate money through direct bank transfers or cross checks. You can also make a donation with just your phone. Scan these QR codes on this website, and you can pay via platforms such as FPS, Alipay Hong Kong, and PayMe. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
More than 10 days after the powerful earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, rescuers pulled out a child, a woman, and 2 men alive from the wreckage. And as the efforts continue to comfort survivors, the United Nations has appealed for $1 billion to help Turkey. David Garrett reports.
Even though many had given up hope, the rescue workers from all corners of the globe work day and night, and the successes amid the misery do keep coming. This is Hatay in south of Turkey, and a boy is pulled out still breathing. The child, thought to be 12 years old, has survived after 260 hours. This is another man who has just been saved. He speaks to loved ones, telling them, "I am fine, I have no problems." He looks remarkably well considering his ordeal. He is calm, but his relatives on the other end of the line can be heard crying uncontrollably. Turkish police released this footage overnight. After more than 10.5 days trapped, another miraculous escape. This time a woman pulled from the rubble in Kahramanmaraş. While rescuers dug her out, others held lights so their colleagues could see. 42-year-old Nesliha Kilic survived after 258 hours without contact. Her brother-in-law told local media they had given up hope. Kilic's husband and 2 children are still missing. A teenager was pulled out of the same building earlier in the day. But for others, there's no news. This grandmother doesn't know whether her 11-year-old granddaughter is alive or dead. To help with relief efforts, the United Nations is calling on all people from every country to help.
The Secretary General announced the launching of a $1 billion humanitarian appeal for the people of Turkey. The funding, which covers a 3-month period, will assist 5.2 million people and allow aid organizations to rapidly scale up vital support for government-led relief efforts in a number of areas, including food security, protection, education, water, and shelter.
Other organisations are moving too. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg inspected the damage from the air as he took a helicopter trip over Hatay. He pledged to set up a fund for temporary housing for thousands of people displaced. And the statue of Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro was lit up on Thursday, honouring the victims. The projection showed the flags of both countries and carried a message: pray for Turkey and pray for Syria. David Garrett, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping will deliver a peace speech on the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Italy's foreign minister said Friday. He was citing Beijing's top diplomat Wang Yi, who was visiting Italy as part of his first European tour this year. Tracy Furness reports.
China is ready to deepen comprehensive strategic cooperation with Italy to bring bilateral relations to a higher level, said Wang Yi, director of the Office of the Foreign Affairs Commission, while in Rome Thursday. He was meeting with Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Antonio Tajani. Wang said that China had brought the COVID-19 pandemic under control and achieved a strong economic recovery and was keen to resume people-to-people exchanges with other countries. Tajani said that in the meeting with Wang, he called for China to use all its powers to persuade Russia to sit at the peace table to ensure Ukraine's independence and bring the war to an end. Tajani said Wang Yi told me that Xi will deliver a peace speech on the anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, in France Thursday, Wang co-chaired the 23rd China-France Strategic Dialogue with Emmanuel Bon, diplomatic counselor to French President Emmanuel Macron, in Paris. The two sides agreed to give full play to strengthen head-to-head diplomacy and strategic communication, as well as jointly tackle global challenges, so as to inject new impetus into China-Europe relations, providing stability to the world. Wang will visit Hungary and Russia next and is expected to deliver a speech at the China session of the upcoming 59th Munich Security Conference. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Coming up, LegCo holds spring luncheon. U.S. President refuses to apologize over shoot-down of balloon. Secretive school still running in Ukraine. Welcome back. The Legislative Council Spring Luncheon, which had been put on hold for the last 3 years due to the coronavirus, was once again held today. Attendees included Chief Executive John Lee and several members of his cabinet. Almost 200 individuals attended today's luncheon, the highest turnout since the establishment of the Legislative Council. LegCo President Andrew Leung noted the event showed that the city has returned to normality. He added that discussions are currently underway for the CE to make another visit to the Greater Bay Area to increase cooperation with the mainland. Luncheon Star, a subsidiary of fast food chain Café de Corral, will suspend its Lunchbox service for schools next Monday and Tuesday. This as some students reported that they felt unwell earlier after having food provided by the company. Some schools had creative responses to the challenge. Christy Kahn reports.
Concerning some students who fell sick after having lunchboxes, Luncheon Star, the service provider, said it will suspend its lunchbox service on Monday and Tuesday next week. The company said they will inspect the production line process and clean the factories during the suspension period. The abrupt suspension has caused troubles to some schools and parents because students will have no food for lunch. In response to this lunchbox crisis, some parents and schools have come up with different contingency plans. This parent says she will bring her child out for lunch. And this woman says she will prepare meals for her children next week. A local primary school decided to take this opportunity to bring its students to its kitchen and allow parents and teachers to work together to make lunch boxes at school.
our school have a cooking lesson for the P5 and P6 students. So that this is a good chance for the P5 or P6 student to show what they learn in the school, and they need to prepare wash the vegetable or how to cut the vegetable.
Another school which is affected by the lunchbox suspension is considering bringing students to have picnics at Inspiration Lake on Lantau Island. The Food and Hygiene Department said they inspected Luncheon stores factories in Shatin and Yunlong on Wednesday and Thursday and collected some food and environmental samples. The authorities decided to prosecute after inspecting the factory in Yunlong, citing improper maintenance. Meanwhile, the department said they will step up inspections of factories supplying lunchboxes. About 50 premises have been inspected so far. Christy Khan, TVB News.
Japan halted the launch of its new medium-lift rocket Friday just moments before the H-3 vehicle was meant to lift off. During the live-streamed event, the H-3's main engine cut off after the launch countdown had reached 0, leaving the 57-meter rocket on the ground at the Tanegashima spaceport. The rocket was carrying the ALOS 3 land observation satellite, which is equipped with an infrared sensor designed to detect North Korean ballistic missiles. It is the first such launch event for the country in 3 decades. U.S. President Joe Biden said he will not apologize over the shooting down of what he said was a spy balloon from China. Biden also announced he expects to discuss the balloon issue with President Xi Jinping. Daniel Rao tells us more.
U.S. President Joe Biden said he's directed National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan to lead an interagency team to review U.S. procedures on unknown aerial objects. Biden said he hoped the new rules would help distinguish between those that are likely to pose safety and security risks that necessitate action and those that do not.
Make no mistake, if any object presents a threat to the safety and security of the American people, I will take it down.
Biden's comments come after the U.S. shot down a suspected Chinese balloon discovered in American airspace, as well as 3 other objects that Biden said Washington now believes are most likely benign that have been launched by private companies or research institutions.
Nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country.
Biden criticized what he called China's surveillance program, saying the shoot-down of the balloon off the Carolina coast sent a clear message that the violation of U.S. sovereignty is unacceptable. Still, the U.S. president said he is looking to maintain open lines of communication with Beijing and that he expects to discuss the matter with President Xi Jinping.
I expect to be speaking with President Xi, and I hope we are going to get to the bottom of this, but I make no apologies for taking down that balloon.
Beijing maintains the downed balloon was an unmanned civilian airship and that its flight into U.S. airspace was an isolated incident. With regards to Biden's comments about discussing the balloon with President Xi, the Foreign Ministry said today that the U.S. cannot ask for communication and dialogue while escalating the balloon incident. The ministry stressed that the U.S. needs to work with China to manage the incident and bring relations between the 2 countries back to being sound and steady. Daniel Roll, TVB News.
The Pentagon's top China official, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Michael Chase, has arrived in Taiwan for a visit Friday, according to the Financial Times. The trip could exacerbate tension between Beijing and Washington. Taiwan's defense and foreign ministries would not comment on the trip, and neither would the Pentagon. Speaking in Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said that the government was firmly opposed to official interactions and military ties between the USA and Taiwan. Chase is the most senior U.S. defense official to visit the island since 2019. Russian forces intensified attacks in eastern Ukraine on Friday as senior politicians and military leaders from around the world were due to meet in Germany with Ukrainian officials expected to address the security conference. Despite the challenging environment in Ukraine, some children still managed to go to hidden schools. NBC News has more.
Russia launched more deadly rocket attacks today. They're tearing eastern Ukraine apart. And I wondered, what it's like to be a child after a year of this. So we're on our way to a surprisingly rare place, a school. Education in Ukraine is now online, but out here by the front line, there's no internet. So the children still left huddle together to learn.
So we were planning to take this road and this bridge this morning until we got here and realized there is no bridge anymore. And this is one thing they do not show you on Google Maps.
But they're not easy to find. Many villages look abandoned.
So this is the school. They've asked us not to film it from the outside so we don't expose their location. They're that worried that if the Russians knew where children are, that they would be targeted and destroyed. And the Russians have bombed many hospitals, many places where vulnerable people are. Oh, all the children are coming to attention like I'm the teacher. Hello. Hello, how are you? Hello.
Miss Darina is the only teacher. Here, there's heat and friends, but the fighting is always on their minds. Daria is 9. Last night there was shelling very close to our house. I was in bed and very scared, she says.
When you hear the shooting and you hear the explosions, what do? Do you cover your ears? Do you think about something else?
I close my ears and lay in the bed like this, she says. I close my eyes and go under the blanket to protect myself if there's any shrapnel. Sometimes I go under the bed.
Do you have enough food at home?
Yes.
Yes, when the humanitarian aid comes, there's canned meat or rice. And it's enough for us, she says. Stas is 10.
What do you miss most about peace?
I miss my cousin. He's in Poland now, he says.
Is he your best friend?
He's my best brother. 4.5 million Ukrainian children have been displaced. Half of them taken out of the country. Those who stayed are being raised underground.
What's it like to be a child in Ukraine right now?
I feel so sorry for our kids, she says. Kids run and play. Our kids have to hide in the basement all the time.
Who here wants this war to end very quickly? Yeah, I thought so. You both hands up. Everyone's got both hands up. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.